brand new but critically needed initiative, India Sustainability Mission. We're going through a severe climate crisis which is pushing the entire human race to the edge. Each year, India is losing thousands of lives due to different climate catastrophes. On the economic front, we're losing billions of rupees each year. In 2022, in just a single year, India lost a whopping 8% of its GDP to climate disasters. So what exactly is a climate disaster, or what we call natural disasters? Where do the solutions lie as part of the India Sustainability Mission? It's time we dig deep to find real workable solutions to the crisis that is upon all of humanity. I'm Gargi Rawat.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं सिकता देव। भारत एक विशाल और विविध देश आज जलवायु परिवर्तन की चुनौती का सामना कर रहा है, लेकिन ये सिर्फ एक समस्या नहीं है बल्कि एक अवसर भी है। एक अवसर हमारे देश को एक अधिक टिकाऊ, समृद्ध और स्वस्थ देश बनाने की। भारत ने सस्टेनेबिलिटी के क्षेत्र में महत्वपूर्ण कदम उठाए हैं। नवीकरणीय ऊर्जा जैसे सौर और पवन ऊर्जा में बड़े निवेश के साथ भारत दुनिया के अग्रणी देशों में से एक बन रहा है। जल संरक्षण के लिए जल संसाधनों के संरक्षण और कुशल उपयोग पर जोर दिया जा रहा है। वन संरक्षण में वनों के संरक्षण और वृक्षारोपण पर महत्वपूर्ण पहल हुई है। स्वच्छ भारत अभियान के तहत स्वच्छता और स्वस्थ जीवन शैली को बढ़ावा देने के लिए एक व्यापक अभियान चलाया गया। प्रदूषण कम करने के लिए इलेक्ट्रिक वाहनों, ग्रीन मोबिलिटी को बढ़ावा दिया जा रहा है। तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं? यही है हमारी ये पहल। सस्टेनेबिलिटी एक सामूहिक प्रयास है। हम सभी अपनी भूमिका निभा सकते हैं और यही है एनडीटीवी के इंडिया सस्टेनेबिलिटी मिशन का मकसद। और हमारे साथ गार्गी एक बेहद खास पैनल।
Bilkul, joining us today on the program, we have Professor Ashok Pandey, who's Executive Director, Center for Energy and Environment Sustainability. Professor Gitanjoy Sahu, who's a professor at the Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, School of Habitat Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai.
और साथ ही पंकज कुमार को-फाउंडर हैं और डायरेक्टर हैं क्वांट सोलर टेक्नोलॉजीज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के, और ये पायनियर्स हैं फ्लोटिंग सोलर पावर प्लांट्स के हमारे देश में। साथ ही हरजीत सिंह जो कि ग्लोबल एंगेजमेंट डायरेक्टर हैं फॉसिल फ्यूल नॉन पॉलिफरेशन ट्रीटी इनिशिएटिव के, और साथ ही एक और ख़ास मेहमान जो जुड़ रहे हैं हमारे साथ, सुदीप जैन, एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी। आप सभी का स्वागत है इस खास चर्चा में।
So thank you all for joining us on this program. But before we start our discussion, let's set the context for why India's Sustainability Mission, why this conversation is so very critical. So that gave you a sense of, the kind of calamities the country has been through. And Mr. Singh, I'd like to begin with you when we talk about just the recent Wayanad tragedy that took place just 2 weeks ago. It's the latest in this string of natural disasters that we've seen. So what is the link with climate change? Because we often say that it is because of climate change a lot of these disasters are getting exacerbated.
So Gargi, first of all, we should stop calling them natural disasters, because there is nothing natural in these disasters anymore, and there's a huge human induced factor into it, be it the way we have caused destruction to the natural habitats. And we have always known that Western Ghats are very eco-sensitive. Professor Madhav Gadgil's report in 2011 talked about how majority of this area should be declared as eco-sensitive zone, and we should stop all kind of mining and all kind of heavy construction activities, but we kept doing it.
In fact, that report was watered down, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And what climate change is doing, climate change is exacerbating the already existing problem. So we call climate change as a threat multiplier, which means that there is something massively wrong with our development and the way we have destroyed environment. And now with climate change, these disasters are increasing and we have no capacity to deal with that. So we need to look at climate change, which is increased intensity and frequency of these disasters. But we have got some massive problem with our development model itself. That's the core of the problem that we are facing when we look at disasters all around us.
That's right, and sustainability.
बिल्कुल एक बड़ा मुद्दा है और इसके लिए भारत सरकार प्रतिबद्ध है। सुदीप जी, आप भारत सरकार सस्टेनेबल देश बनाने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है और तमाम कदम भी उठाए जा रहे हैं, लेकिन इस वक्त सरकार के लिए सबसे बड़ी चुनौती क्या है?
So thank you, चिक्ता। आप जो issues raise कर रहे हैं, it's very pertinent that climate change is for real, and India is committed towards its goals for net zero by 2070. India is also committed. It has its own nationally determined contributions. The first time अगर आप देखेंगे 2015 में जब माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये NDCs अनाउंस किया, the target was कि renewable energy क्षेत्र में हम non-fossil fuel से 40% of our total generation capacity in the country for power generation should come from non-fossil fuel. Target was कि 2030 तक हम ये 40% achieve करेंगे. I am happy to share with you that the country surpassed those targets 9 years ahead of its commitments. So 2020 में we were able to surpass these, and 2021 then Honorable Prime Minister in the country came up with Panch Amrit, where the new NDCs were set, a 50% target for non-fossil fuel generation capacity out of the total generation capacity of power in the country to be achieved by 2030. I am glad to share that we will surely be surpassing that much earlier. We have already reached almost 45%, and we'll soon be surpassing that 50% also.
तो बहुत काम हो रहा है अशोक जी आप सरकार के स्तर पर भी, लेकिन अगर हम देखें 10 साल पहले तक क्लाइमेट चेंज पर हम चर्चा बस करते थे, लेकिन अभी हमारे 2 स्टेप पर है। ऐसे में भारत जैसे देश के लिए इसके आर्थिक प्रभाव भी हैं और ये इस वक्त हर किसी को, हमारे दर्शकों को हमें समझना जरूरी है।
आज इस क्लाइमेट चेंज की हम बात कर रहे हैं, पर्यावरण परिवर्तन की बात कर रहे हैं। दैट इज व्हाट इज मेड बाय ह्यूमन मेड क्लाइमेट चेंज, नो। और उसके लिए निश्चित रूप से हम सभी जिम्मेदार हैं। जिम्मेदारी से कोई बच नहीं सकता। ये हो सकता है कि कोई देश ज़्यादा जिम्मेदार हो, कोई देश कम हो, ये एक चर्चा का विषय, बहस का विषय है, लेकिन जिम्मेदार हम सभी हैं। और उसका जो प्रभाव है निश्चित रूप से सबसे अधिक जो है आर्थिक नुकसान, और वो आर्थिक नुकसान सबके लिए हो रहा है। अब उसका प्रभाव जैसे हम बोलते हैं, चाहे गरीब हो, चाहे अमीर हो, चाहे कोई बड़ा देश हो, चाहे कोई छोटा देश हो, विकसित देश हो, विकासशील देश हो, सबके ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ रहा है। क्लाइमेट चेंज के बारे हम जब बात करें तो हमें ग्लोबल कॉन्सेप्ट को मन में रखना होगा, लेकिन एक्शन हमको लोकल नीड के हिसाब से लेना होगा, जिसको हम बोलते हैं लोकली मेड क्लाइमेट एडाप्टेशन प्रोजेक्ट्स। वायनाड की रिक्वायरमेंट दूसरी है, सिक्किम की रिक्वायरमेंट दूसरी है, और उसके लिए उसी अनुसार जो स्थानीय समस्याएं हैं, स्थानीय भाषा में उनका निदान होना चाहिए, स्थानीय लोगों के साथ मिलकर उसका निदान होना चाहिए। ये सब बहुत आवश्यक चीज़ें हैं।
Right, and within countries also solutions have to be found. Professor Sao, so what is the solution? That's the whole aim of this campaign, that we have to look at solutions, see what they are, where they are within our grasp. So and sustainability is the word that, has become quite the byword now. So if you could explain for our viewers, what do we mean when we say sustainability?
Thank you so much. The concept of sustainability has been defined and understood differently. The literal meaning emphasizes to maintain the resources for future generations without compromising their ability to use that resources. But unfortunately, the values that are attached with sustainability has not been understood by the policymakers. There are diverse ways to look at the concept of climate change, similarly the concept of sustainability. And when we say diverse ways, because in Indian political system, if you look at the policies are framed in a way which are not in a position to understand diverse contexts.
We talk about how planting trees is a way of countering climate change, etc., and saving the environment. But what about the existing forests that one already has that, you know, we often see are getting diverted for projects? Yes, we need infrastructure, we need development and growth, but how to strike that balance between our needs for development and infrastructure, at the same time protecting these forests that do us this, you know, we can't even value the kind of services they provide for us in terms of water and clean air.
Right. So if you look at post-liberalization period, India has massively diverted forests. On an average, we divert 20,000 hectares every year without having a mechanism to do preventive measures. For example, we have a policy, Forest Conservation Act 1980, which emphasizes that whenever we divert forest, equivalent area of afforestation programs should be undertaken. But many of these reports that we see, including the CAG report, which suggests that the afforestation programs are not effective because first, we are not able to get non-forest area whenever we divert forest area. Equivalent non-forest area should be identified for afforestation program. Second, whatever forest area is identified, the survival rate is very low. Okay. But the other problem related to afforestation program is the emphasis is given more on the centralized process of plantation and afforestation programs. We have a very progressive legislation, that is Forest Rights Act of 2006, which emphasizes the role and importance of Gram Sabha, and there are several evidences in the past that whenever community is involved in the plantation activity, survival rate is very high. But unfortunately, we continue the highly centralized process of plantation without recognizing the participation of community. The current method and process of afforestation programs need to be relooked at.
सस्टेनेबिलिटी के इन सवालों और समाधानों के बीच आप लोग वो काम कर रहे हैं जिससे हर किसी को करना चाहिए, प्रेरणा लेना चाहिए। तो आप लोगों को क्या लगा कि हम इस के लिए हम अपना योगदान दे सकते हैं और इस तरह से हम इसमें जुड़ सकते हैं इस प्रक्रिया में?
So it was the year 2015 and 16, and we got to read a lot of news that Government of India has big plans in sustainability, developing a lot of clean energy projects. But and solar was becoming more popular because of the low cost and better cost efficiency and better output. So the real challenge was implementing the big scale solar projects which the government was facing, and that was about the aggregating the agricultural lands. Suppose you are doing a 100 megawatt project, you need 400 acres of land to implement those kind of the projects. So given the commitment of Government of India in climate change conventions about 500 gigawatt of non-fossil energy, we have a very big target actually, and to achieve those targets we require huge land resource. We talk about the wind energy or solar energy, we need lakhs and lakhs of acres of land to implement those kind of projects. But India being an agricultural prime economy, we don't have that kind of land actually. Then how do we generate that kind of that volume of energy, solar energy? So from there we got the idea of developing something which can rule out the requirement of land. And from there we started working on some new concepts that if we can install the solar projects on water bodies, because India is blessed with thousands of water bodies like reservoirs, dams, catchment areas, lakes. These are all remaining unutilized actually. So from there we got that concept, and then we started working on it. We got some pilot project then in extreme in remote location of Assam, which got very successful. And then we realized that it could be implemented on a bigger way in some big scale projects. And that's how this idea moved forward. And then today I'm very glad that the mission with which we started this this company, this startup, today we are doing so many projects all across India. We are doing the projects on big dams, big reservoirs, and we are saving crores and crores of fresh water every year by containing evaporation, and we are getting the unused water surface utilized for that solar generation.
अब इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी है आपकी और प्रेरणा सभी को देती है, लेकिन ब्रेक में जाने से पहले एक छोटा सा सवाल सुदीप जी आपसे। जब हम एनर्जी इंडिपेंडेंस की बात करते हैं जिसको हमें अचीव करना है साल 2047 तक, तो इसका क्या मतलब आम दर्शक समझे?
थैंक यू सिक्ता। नहीं, बिल्कुल सही आपका क्वेश्चन है। एनर्जी आज अगर आप देखेंगे, हम ऑलमोस्ट 90% ऑयल हमारा इंपोर्ट होता है, एंड दैट इज द बिगेस्ट सोर्स ऑफ एनर्जी। हम 2047 तक द टारगेट इज कि रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के थ्रू हम जहाँ डायरेक्ट अभी इलेक्ट्रिसिटी यूज होती है, जहाँ ट्रांसपोर्ट में इस समय एनर्जी यूज होती है, क्या उसको हम इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स में कन्वर्ट करके एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के थ्रू वो सारा हैंडल कर सकते हैं। सिमिलरली इंडस्ट्री में बहुत सारी जगह हीट प्रोसेसेस के लिए बहुत सारा फॉसिल फ्यूल यूज होता है। ये सारी चीज़ें, इंडिया इज वर्किंग ऑन अ वेरी वेरी एम्बिशियस टारगेट एंड वेरी एम्बिशियस प्रोग्राम्स विच आर ऑलरेडी देयर, वेरी लार्ज प्रोग्राम्स। हम कंप्लीटली इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल पे मूव करने का प्लान पे हैं। सिमिलरली ऑन द इंडस्ट्रियल साइड, जो हीट प्रोसेसेस का, जो इंडिया हैज टेकन द लीड इन टर्म्स ऑफ ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन generation of 5 million metric tons capacity of green hydrogen per annum is our target for 2030. So ये targets जब हम achieve करेंगे, तो हमारे majority of the energy sources हम ना केवल अपने आप generate करेंगे, but हम उनको clean and renewable energy के through ही generate करेंगे. So that is the target of energy independence by 2047, and we are right on track on those targets.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, sir. And time for us to slip into a short break, but we're going to talk more about the solutions on the other side, and also what, the common person, citizens can do when it comes to sustainability. Welcome back to our special show on India's sustainability mission, and we're talking about solutions and the way forward. And Mr. Singh, my next question is for you. At COP26, India had set a target of 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel-based energy by 2030. So how realistic is that? How close are we to that?
So as Mr. Sudeep already mentioned, we are doing pretty well when it comes to achieving that target. So we already have solar to the tune of 70 gigawatt, and we now plan to multiply it to 280 gigawatt by 2030. Similarly, on wind, we are slightly lagging behind, but we need to multiply that as well. We are about 40 gigawatt, and it should be increased to 140. That's the target government has set. And also hydro is going to be about 70 gigawatt. So we will be close to that 500 gigawatt. And in fact, as Mr. Sudeep said, we'll be achieving it much faster. But there are several challenges, particularly in terms of land, as Pankaj also mentioned, especially for solar projects, acquiring land is going to be challenging, plus also human resource capacity. How we are going to make sure that human resources are available to increase that capacity and then also maintain that. So those are some of the challenges, but overall the picture looks pretty positive when it comes to achieving targets for renewable energy.
जी अशोक जी, भारत को सस्टेनेबिलिटी की तरफ आगे बढ़ाने के लिए बायोटेक्नोलॉजी का खासा इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, और दूसरी जो ऊर्जा तकनीक है जिसका इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, उसके बारे में बताइए कि किस तरह से इसमें काम हो रहा है इस दिशा में। भारत ने अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर जो कमिटमेंट्स दिए हैं, अभी COP26 की बात हुई है, अकॉर्डिंग टू COP26 43% greenhouse gases should be reduced by 2030. India is one of the signatories, and 60% carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases in total should be reduced by 2035, and that is from the level of 2019. Now that's India's signatory. That's the biggest challenge. How do you do it? So to achieve them, obviously India is such a vast country, and as I mentioned earlier, that we need to adopt different kind of strategies. There cannot be one solution for the whole country as such. So among various, renewable energy is of course taking place in a very major way. We have already 180 gigawatt renewable energy. Solar energy is the major one. But then when you talk, because we are talking here climate change along with sustainability. Now when you talk of sustainability, the challenge today, or which we are going to face in next year in a very, very major way, what we will do with the end of life solar panel. What we will do, these are
millions of tons already accumulated in
Yes.
our country. What we are going to do with this end of life wind turbine blades? We do not have a solution.
And we've already
after
spoken
10
about
years
how we
later,
deal with garbage.
in this room, sitting, we will be discussing why this point was not taken into account when we talked about sustainable development.
जी बिल्कुल
So this is one point which everyone has to take into account, according policy makers, developers, and of course researchers, scientists, whatever. So when we talk of biotechnology, contribution of biotechnology, today we are talking of not one subject. It's a cross-field research.
Yes.
Environmental biotechnology, industrial biotechnology, energy biosciences. They work in tandem along with the material scientists, because material development, when you talk of energy material, which is very important. Biohydrogen research, one of the biggest challenges, how do we store hydrogen? Storage materials is a material research. And so many, so cross-field researcher, cross-field expertise, and accordingly cross-field policies must be developed. If at all we want to attain all those ambitious targets of 2030, 2035,
2070
2047, we want to say
2070
that
net
we are
zero,
developed
जी.
country and so on. And biofuel is one of them. The biofuel, among biofuel we have biohydrogen, biogas, and bioethanol, biodiesel. Biodiesel is not feasible for in our country. It is made from vegetable oil, so that is not sustainable.
जी.
Bioethanol is there, policy is there, but then there is a one basic issue. Traditionally, bioethanol is made from molasses, and now what bioethanol we are talking is from waste material, in particularly agro-industrial residues, and a lot of work has been done. We have developed position paper for DST and so on, TIFAC, a lot of work has gone. The most important point is that when you talk again sustainability, we have first of all technological sustainability, we call it TRL, technology readiness level, and then we talk of economic readiness level, and then one thing we missed out all the time, societal readiness level, whether society is ready to accept that product or process or
that
technology
change,
or not.
बिल्कुल.
Well, that's
So
why
that is-
shows like this are very important. And
Creating
that has been
awareness and also
completely
talk about
overlooked.
solutions. जी बिल्कुल.
Completely overlooked, but then जो दूसरी बात है economic readiness level. So bioethanol की हम बात करें, पॉलिसी में बायोएथेनॉल किसी भी सोर्स से जो प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है उसकी प्राइस सबकी एक है. ये एक फ्लॉ है. एथेनॉल मोलासेस से जो बनता है वो वन स्टेप प्रोसेस है, फर्मेंटेशन एंड डिस्टिलेशन. एथेनॉल जो क्रॉप से बनता है वो पहले कलेक्शन है, फिर मिलिंग है, फिर उसका सेग्रीगेशन है, देन डिकंस्ट्रक्शन है, 3 पार्ट
उसके
में.
अपने इकोनॉमिक
बहुत
बिल्कुल
सारी
चेन है जो उस
10
पर
स्टेप्स हैं
बहुत
एंड
हाँ,
प्रोसेस इफिशिएंसी बहुत कम रहेगी.
जी. इन तमाम बहसों के बीच अजीत जी, नेशनल ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन मिशन की भी बात होती रहती है. इस दिशा में इस वक्त हमारे देश में क्या कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं?
देखिए, अभी काफ़ी सारा तो ये रिसर्च के एम्बिट में आता है, क्योंकि ये नई टेक्नोलॉजी है. इसमें भी हम ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन पे बात करते हैं, क्योंकि अगर हमने हाइड्रोजन को फिर फॉसिल फ्यूल से बनाया तो हम प्रॉब्लम को और बढ़ाएंगे. समझने की बात यह है कि रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी जो है वो स्टील, सीमेंट, उन सेक्टर्स में नहीं लग सकती है, तो क्योंकि वो हाईली इंटेंस एनर्जी सिस्टम्स की पे डिपेंडेंट होते हैं. वहाँ पर हाइड्रोजन का रोल है. तो एक तो हाइड्रोजन को हम कैसे बना रहे हैं, क्या वो हमारे सोर्सेज ग्रीन है कि नहीं है. दूसरा, उसको ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के इश्यूज हैं, उसके स्टोरेज के इश्यूज हैं. तो अभी बहुत सारा रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट फेज पर है, तो उस पर पूरी तरह से निर्भर होना सही नहीं होगा. और मैं जो प्रोफेसर पांडे ने कहा वो बात जरूर कहना चाहूँगा कि यहाँ तक कि जो रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी है उसको लेकर करके भी काफ़ी चैलेंजेस हैं, उसकी सस्टेनेबिलिटी को लेकर के. तो कहीं ना कहीं एक बड़ा सवाल जो हमें पूछना चाहिए कि हमारा डेवलपमेंट पैराडाइम क्या है. अगर हम वेस्ट के मॉडल को ब्लाइंडली फॉलो कर रहे हैं, जिसकी वजह से आज सारे क्राइसिस हैं, चाहे हम क्लाइमेट क्राइसिस की बात करें, चाहे हम बायोडाइवर्सिटी क्राइसिस की बात करें, तो जो हम आज 6th मास एक्सटिंक्शन से गुजर रहे हैं वो हमारा अपना बनाया हुआ है. और जिस तरह का हमारा कंजम्पशन है, जिस तरह से हमने इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन को प्रमोट किया है, तो क्या भारत भी उसी दिशा पे चलेगा जिस वजह से ये क्राइसिस आई है, या भारत का अपना मॉडल है? वो अपना मॉडल हमें नहीं दिख रहा है. और जिस तरह का हम वेस्ट जनरेट कर रहे हैं, और मैं कहना चाहूँगा, मैं गाजियाबाद में रहता हूँ, हमारे पास में गाजीपुर लैंडफिल है जो कि एक तरह का मॉन्यूमेंट है हमारे बैड डेवलपमेंट
Which
का।
we at NDTV have been reporting on for over nearly 2 decades, I think now. Every
तो
year we do a report on
हमने
it.
कूड़ा पहाड़ बनाया है, मतलब काफी शर्म की बात है। तो वो कहीं ना कहीं बताता भी है कि कितना गलत है हमारा डेवलपमेंट मॉडल।
Well, with that, we'll slip into a short break, but on the other side, we're going to look at more solutions for India's sustainability mission. Let's go back to Mr. Jain, and sir, your comments on what is being said, the kind of models that we're following. You've been listening to the conversation, so your comments about how perhaps India needs its own models, its own way forward for a more sustainable future.
I'll restrict my comments primarily on the energy side. So if you look at
Sure.
the electricity consumption, our per capita consumption is amongst the lowest. We are still, when we compare with the developed world or the Western world, we are 1/5 or 1/6 of what they have been consuming. So while our per capita is bound to increase, but we are nowhere saying that we will match the kind of consumption that those countries have been doing. So with much more efficient technologies, with much more energy efficient technologies, we will be moving towards a much developed lifestyle, completely fed with the renewable energy. Now, a few questions which had come up in last few minutes, so I would like to just focus on that. One is the concern on whether we'll be having the available land for the solar and wind that we want to pursue, and we want to achieve the 500 gigawatt. First, let me just share that we have now today already crossed 200 gigawatt when it comes to our total generation capacity from non-fossil fuel. And I'd already told that we are on track with the target of 500 gigawatt. What, apart from land, clearly we can see the contributions coming. The PM Surya Ghar program, where Honorable Prime Minister has target that we set up solar rooftops on 1 crore households. Now that itself will ensure that majority of these households are able to generate the required electricity, and at times even more than what they require, and feed it back into the grid. And this will be completely solar electricity. Similarly, under the PM Kusum program, the entire set of farmers who are currently using diesel generator sets for irrigation pumps can move to electric pumps fed with the solar energy. So that itself will contribute to almost 40 odd gigawatt in terms of the total capacity. PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana will contribute another 35 to 40 gigawatt. Similarly, there are clear targets that by end of 2025, all government buildings should have rooftops. So that will contribute again in a much larger way. We also have today progressed ahead with respect to offshore wind. For the first time in the country, we'll be having the first bids coming out for 500 megawatt of offshore winds to be set up in the coast of Gujarat, and another 500 megawatt will soon come out for coast of Tamil Nadu. So our assessed potential, we expect around 35-37 gigawatt of energy electricity being generated from offshore wind over the next few years. Similarly, the question which you were asking with respect to green hydrogen, yes, it's a very nascent technology worldwide, and a lot of research is still required. However, our targets and our bids, we have already production-linked incentives already there for setting up capacities for generating green hydrogen. These bids, the first tranche has already been allotted. 412,000 metric tons of capacity has already been allotted. The second tranche is about to be allotted. So we clearly see that yes, there are technologies which are coming, not just that we'll be only generating, but even the electrolyzer manufacturing. That is also being indigenized, and plants being set up for that. On the same lines, we today have 60 gigawatt of solar module manufacturing capacity in the country.
जी
And in couple of years, we'll reach 100 gigawatt of solar module manufacturing. And now we are going backward integration to see that it is not just module manufacturing, but the solar cell manufacturing, the ingot wafer manufacturing, and the polysilicon manufacturing. All these to be set up here itself, and
Right.
already the plans have started coming up. So
तमाम-
with all these
तो आप
works happening,
सुदीप
we
जी आप
are
कह रहे हैं कि तमाम कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं और अब भारत सरकार इन कदमों के लिए बहुत सारे इनिशिएटिव्स भी ले रही है, जिसमें इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस पंकज जी भी था। भारत ने आगे बढ़कर इस अलायंस को एक तरह से एक नया रोल दिया, एक नई भूमिका दी। ऐसे में हमारे जैसे देशों के लिए, डेवलपिंग नेशंस के लिए सोलर एनर्जी, सोलर पावर कितना महत्वपूर्ण है?
सोलर एनर्जी बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है बिकॉज solar is very cheap actually. Today, amongst all the technologies, clean energy technologies that we have in the world, solar is the cheapest. And this is because lot of efforts have gone into the R&D and technology improvement in the past 10 years. और इसलिए solar is the most eco-friendly and the cheapest source of clean energy today. And now the bigger question is that how to implement the bigger programs in solar. Like PM Kusum Yojana is one very ambitious program in India, which is being implemented in a very big way. Ground mounted is already happening in a very big way, especially the arid lands of Gujarat, Rajasthan, they are all being utilized. Floating is now emerging fast. जितने बड़े डैम्स हैं, हाइड्रोइलेक्ट्रिक डैम्स हैं, वहाँ पे floating solar is like a plug and play because the grid facility, everything is available there, grid infrastructure is there. So it becomes like a plug and play. You install 100-200 megawatt capacity of floating solar, and the best thing is that after 25 years of its life cycle, when you take it out, you don't leave any footprint behind. It's zero footprint. And what I think that today more and more such technology should develop which can address multiple challenges at the same time, and that will be the sustainable way of technology advancement.
And how do you deal with our flooding rivers and our very angry mighty rivers that we have? Is that a challenge?
No, actually the floating solar is one concept which has not been used in the flowing water.
Yeah, it's in the dams.
It's in the
but
dams.
Even there, often we've seen the
Yeah,
flooding.
but you know, the good thing is that because the entire plant is positioned at one location, so even if the water level goes up and down, it just moves up and down, but it remains at the same position.
सवाल ये बनता है कि क्या पॉलिसी लेवल पर जो आम सिटीजन्स हैं वो बदलाव ला सकते हैं या उस पर प्रभाव डाल सकते हैं?
Yes, there are several examples in the country जहाँ पे लोगों ने खुद अपने सो मोटो इनिशिएटिव लेके अपने जंगल को बचाए. There are examples also, water bodies, if you look at what citizens of Bangalore have done when the lakes were polluted. So you have several examples, but also there are limitations to citizens' intervention because the expectation is state has to intervene and discharge its duties, and more importantly, the statutory authorities which we have. As I said, there is no dearth of authorities, but unfortunately there is no coordination happening because when we look at the mining industries, there is a different process for clearance for mining industry. You have a different process for settling rights of people, and there is no coordination happening, and that's why judiciary comes into picture. But at the same time, judiciary cannot resolve these environmental problems because it has its own limitations. So we need to look for a strong regulatory framework with a better
आपने एक
resources.
समाधान सुझाया है, बिल्कुल, और यही है हमारा मकसद कि हम कैसे इंडिया सस्टेनेबल मिशन के जरिए जो हमारी ये पहल है, हमारी ये इनिशिएटिव है, उसमें समाधानों की बात करें, हमारे भविष्य की बात करें. हम ले रहे हैं एक छोटा सा ब्रेक के बाद हमारे पैनलिस्ट इस बात पर चर्चा करेंगे कि हम और आप यानी कि आम जनता क्या कर सकती है सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए.
Welcome back to our special show on India's sustainability mission, and now we have time for final comments. So first, sir, I'd like to go across to you, Mr. Jain. If you can give us your final comments. We've talked about so many issues here on the program, but how do you see the future of India from here as far as environmentally sustainable growth as well as the role of the government is concerned?
So The question which you were asking, in fact, before the break, you said, what could the citizens do? What can we do?
Yes.
I would like to focus a little on that.
Sure.
As citizens, each of us can install rooftop solar on our houses. And there is today the largest program, PM Surya Ghar Muft Bijli Yojana. A total outlay of 75,000 crore has been allocated by the government for this program. There is a subsidy of up to 78,000 rupee for a 3 kilowatt system, and it makes economic sense. There cannot be a better investment for anyone today. You invest on this, you after subsidy, the component that you need to invest, you will be able to recover in less than 5 years. And after that, you continue to gain with the electricity that it will generate for another 20 to 25 years. So that should be the first step each of us should take. And then I told about the PM Kusum program, where yes, everyone should look whether the farmers, they right now, when they are starved of electricity, they are starved of irrigation, they can easily move to solar pumps and solarizing the grid. So with these, we are
Right.
very confident that if each of us take these steps forward, we'll definitely be able to attain our target of net zero for a sustainable future.
इन्हीं छोटे छोटे कदमों से एक बड़ा सुंदर भविष्य बन सकता है प्रोफेसर पांडे। लेकिन
बिल्कुल।
हमारे जो नागरिक हैं या हम हैं, जो आम सिटीजन हैं, हम क्या करें ताकि हम एक सस्टेनेबल फ्यूचर की तरफ बढ़ पाएं अपने स्तर पर?
एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बात आपने कही है, क्योंकि अब देखिए इस पूरे डिस्कशन में देखिए हम सभी लोग जानते हैं कि सरकार ने पॉलिसीज़ बनाई हैं और इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है, कोर्ट्स की हमने बातें सुनी, ग्रीन ट्रिब्यूनल के बारे में हम जानते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी के बारे में हम जानते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी भी डेवलप हो रही है, होती ही रहेंगी। मुख्य बात यह है कि हम कैसे सफलता को हासिल करें। सफलता को हासिल करने के लिए सबसे ज़रूरी, जो शुरू में मैंने कहा था, कि क्लाइमेट एडाप्टेशन प्रोजेक्ट डेवलप करें जो लोकल नीड के अनुसार हो, वेयर पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ एवरीबडी शुड बी इंश्योर्ड अकॉर्डिंग टू लोकल कंडीशन। और सस्टेनेबिलिटी की बात करें तो वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग विच इज़ परहैप्स वन ऑफ द वीकेस्ट अमंग द होल वर्ल्ड इन आवर कंट्री, men and women both, all right, is behavioral sustainability. We would like to keep our home very clean. We would like to use, but then the moment it comes when you go outside, that misses.
So that collective responsibility
so garbage
must be
generation
there. Yes.
is the one point. Same thing is water pollution.
Right.
Now we would like to use cleanest water, but we are least concerned that you should also get the cleanest water.
बिल्कुल।
So
Right.
behavioral sustainability development, that is inculcating this kind of thought process and education from the childhood to the children. is
सही
very
बात
important.
कही, और
Absolutely.
यही हमारा मकसद भी है गार्गी,
So I
कि
think
हमारे शहर से
we're
बिल्कुल
making our little contribution through this program.
this is
But
what I'm saying.
Harjeet Singh, I mean, anything you'd like to
Let
add
me-
here?
let me
Yes,
tell you.
sure.
So from that point of view, because I said to these two gentlemen when we met them, the TV is one of the most strong social media which impacts children and adult equally. And this kind of campaign would be of great compliment and great use for our
बिल्कुल।
country.
When we are doing
Thank
this
you
show,
so
our
much.
children at home are also getting aware
Obviously,
that our mothers are
obviously.
doing this kind
This
of
is
show
what
and
this is
talking
right.
about
bit
climate
by
change.
bit
बिल्कुल।
contribution. That
Absolutely.
is what will make change.
All right.
And this is
Harjeet
where we
Singh,
should.
final comments?
फाइनल कमेंट से पहले मैं भी बिल्कुल कहना चाहूँगा कि बहुत ही सराहनीय कदम है ये, कि एक तो हम अवेयरनेस जनरेट कर रहे हैं और साथ साथ में ये देख रहे हैं कि हमारे कदम जो है वो पॉलिसी के साथ में कैसे तालमेल बिठा सकते हैं। तो बहुत सारी पॉलिसीज़ आ रही हैं, जैसा कि सुदीप जी ने कहा, उसके साथ जुड़ना चाहिए, लेकिन अपने स्तर पर हमें देखना चाहिए कि हम इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंजम्पशन कैसे कम कर सकते हैं, हम पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कैसे यूज़ करें, इलेक्ट्रिक कार को लेकर के स्कीम्स हैं, अगर जो लोग अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं वो इलेक्ट्रिक मोबिलिटी की तरफ जाएँ, हम खाना कौन सा खा रहे हैं, अगर हम जिस तरह से एग्रीकल्चर, सस्टेनेबल एग्रीकल्चर की बात हो रही है, अगर हम ऑर्गेनिक फूड की तरफ जाते हैं तो उससे भी एमिशंस बहुत कम होते हैं। तो प्लास्टिक का यूज़ है, बहुत बड़ा एक चैलेंज है। तो हमारे अपने स्तर पर हमें देखना होगा कि हम क्या जीवन शैली जी रहे हैं, उससे हम कैसे अपने इम्पैक्ट को कम कर सकते हैं।
अपने घरों के अंदर शुरुआत करें। प्रोफेसर साहू, आम नागरिक या आम दर्शक इस वक्त आप उसको क्या सुझाएंगे, क्या करे वो कि हम एक सस्टेनेबल फ्यूचर की तरफ बढ़ें?
एक तो हम सबका जिम्मेदारी होता है, एक लाइफस्टाइल चेंज भी बहुत ज़रूरी है। जिस तरह के कंज्यूमरिस्ट लाइफस्टाइल चल रहा है, उसका बड़ा इम्पेक्ट हो रहा है एनवायरनमेंट पे. बट ओवरऑल अगर हम देखा जाए, दिस इज नॉट जस्ट अबाउट इंडिविजुअल बिहेवियर, बट the process of decision making also needs to be more democratic, more consultative in nature when we talk about environmental resource use. And second point I want to also suggest, if you look at the regulatory structures, they need to be empowered, they need to be given more human resource, because many of these regulatory authorities, you don't have scientists. I don't know when was the last time there was recruitment for environmental scientists in pollution control boards. And third and the most important point is, we need to understand Indian environmental conditions are different from Western environmental conditions. There is a lot of diversity, and we need to respect the landscape diversity and also the political diversity while making decisions. We can't have nationwide generalization of environmental policy, and that's why we are witnessing today many of these environmental disasters, because we have not taken into the federal structures into account while formulating policy.
जो बार-बार अशोक जी और हरजीत ने भी कहा कि ये समाधान लोकल ही हो सकता है.
Right, and final word, Pankaj Kumar, if you could, and also, I mean, innovation, I think, are you looking to the future that hopefully we'll have more innovations happening right here to help us for a greener future?
Sure. First of all, I would say that it's really a great thing that NDTV is playing a great role in connecting the dots between academia, industries, government, and that is so important actually. It should take a shape of movement, you know, that should reach each and every house. That is one important thing. Second thing is that today we are living in the best times in India, where the policies of the government is very supportive, very progressive, and when startups like us can reach so far, starting with a small 10 kilowatt project, today we are doing more than 60-70 megawatts kilo projects all across India. I'm sure that there are a lot of innovators, a lot of technocrats.
आप कह रहे हैं कि सपोर्ट मिल रहा है यंग इनोवेटर्स?
Yeah, definitely. We are a very good example actually. We started from scratch and today we are doing so much.
Wonderful, and hopefully more innovators and all will come forward. But thank you so much all for joining us on this program today on this very important issue here at NDTV. And India is on its way to becoming the third largest economy in the world. This economic growth can only be sustained if we can mitigate the increasingly frequent and devastating losses from climate disasters, which can be controlled with foresight, planning and a long-term vision for a sustainable future in India.
बिल्कुल, भारत के सामने चुनौतियां बड़ी हैं, लेकिन इन चुनौतियों का सामना करने के लिए हमारे पास अवसर और रास्ते भी हैं. भारत को एक सस्टेनेबल विकासशील देश बनाने के लिए हमें मिलकर काम करना होगा. सरकार, उद्योग, समाज और आप और हम सभी की भूमिका अहम है. जहां आर्थिक विकास और पर्यावरण संरक्षण साथ साथ चले. याद रखें, छोटे छोटे कदम भी बड़े बदलाव ला सकते हैं. हर व्यक्ति की भूमिका महत्वपूर्ण है. भारत का भविष्य हमारे हाथों में है और एनडीटीवी की ये पहल हमारी प्रतिबद्धता की एक कड़ी है. नमस्कार.
Goodbye.